Okay, so we have something to talk about with Mass Effect, and it's not great, but it's probably not as bad as you may think it is, and it's definitely not as bad as it's going to get portrayed by people on Reddit and things like that. So let's jump into it. We have a veteran writer at BioWare who's leaving the company. So here's one of the articles about it. It says the writer of Dragon Age's Emmerich and Josephine has departed BioWare. Sylvia the Kitakudi, that's what I'm going with. So Sylvia, if you watch this and I just butchered your name, I apologize profusely. But we'll go with Sylvia F from now on. They announced on Blue Sky, actually, that they were leaving BioWare after 15 years. It was kind of interesting because if you look through their if you look through their Blue Sky, they only started it back on Dragon Age Day to answer things about the game, and then it was like, well, before I delete this, by the way, I'm leaving. So I'm sure this was kind of a something that was weighing on them. Specifically the post that they had was, "Hey everyone, sorry to be quiet on here. I was busy with a big decision, namely deciding to leave BioWare. I'll really miss working with everyone there, but after 15 years, it just feels like a time for a break." They did put down below as well, I'll go back to answering your questions and comments before shutting the account down. It'll be slow because I've left BioWare. There's likely a few things I can't answer just now because I can't look them up with certainty anymore. But a lot of questions I saw are fine. So this isn't great. No one wants to see a veteran developer leave. There's so much talk about BioWare with like the ship of Theseus kind of thing, where that they aren't even BioWare anymore. All the good people have left, and everyone there is new or whatever. It doesn't really seem completely true. Most of their leadership are like veteran, longtime developers who have been there, even back to the Mass Effect trilogy, if not before. But there are a lot of new people there, especially from like the Mass Effect trilogy days. And I would make the argument that that's okay. I have talked about it a lot in that the Mass Effect trilogy team probably couldn't make a good game today. Like, you have to evolve, you have to change, you have to bring in new blood, especially. There's the idea that, yeah, like a lot of the people there now are new. A lot of people who are getting jobs at BioWare now are getting into game development because of the Mass Effect trilogy, or Dragon Age or whatever. So it's like, it's not all bad that there's new people. In fact, I think that can tend to be a really good thing. And then what's also notable, and we'll look over at the BioWare hiring page, which is currently has no listings. It's normal and expected for developers to leave a studio after, especially a big AAA launch, especially one that had as many issues as Dragon Age: The Veilguard, that took as long as it did, especially after the previous two games before that weren't as successful as Veilguard has been with Anthem and Mass Effect Andromeda. And then it was quite a few years before that we got, Dragon Age Inquisition, and then a few years before that, the trilogy. If this person's been there for 15 years, they've gotten more than their career's worth of ups and downs at BioWare. And you can't blame someone for leaving. I've been at my job for over 12 years now. And if I leave next year, it's not because I hate the job or because something bad is happening there. I just might want to try something new, and I probably will at some point. So I've seen, the Mass Effect subreddit was really frothing over this, but there's a lot of people in there who really hated Dragon Age: The Veilguard, whether it was for reasonable or not reasons, who knows? That's all subjective. It's up to you and your interpretation of it. A lot of the takes I saw about this seemed pretty short-sighted and not very informed, I think is the nice word to say. But I definitely wouldn't feel like the sky is falling quite yet. As I was saying before, I don't think this is the end of the world. We'll probably see other people leave. And we're likely, almost certainly, going to see them do a hiring blitz here in the next year, when I'm anticipating they'll announce full production beginning on Mass Effect here in the spring. I am almost certain we'll get some kind of state of the studio blog or something, some kind of communication early in 2025, like they've done in previous years. I don't think they did it this year in 2024. Obviously, they were kind of busy. But I believe back in 23 and in previous years, at the beginning of the calendar year, they've always done some kind of post. And the thing to consider is that there's no DLC coming for Veilguard. Dragon Age is effectively done. We've seen a bunch of the devs and people from BioWare are currently temporarily working on Motive's Iron Man game. And I've been told specifically and directly that that's until Mass Effect is ready to go into production. So when it's done with pre-production, which I assume they're probably doing today, it's okay. There's an ebb and flow to this. Now, if Sylvia or other people had been laid off, if they quit and didn't and made no comment on it, her responses and her commentary on this doesn't seem negative. It just seems like her time at BioWare is done. She's done a lot of stuff there. She's shipped a bunch of games if she's been there for 15 years, and now she wants to try something else. There's nothing wrong with that. I suspect that this will be fine. I wouldn't panic yet, but we'll have to wait and see what happens. I mean, I think the overall feeling is that Dragon Age, the Veilguard, did well enough to satisfy EA enough to let them continue doing their thing. Now they're only working on one game at a time, as far as we know, because the KOTOR is gone. It's now third party. They're doing their own thing, and they're not gonna do this 2-team thing anymore. At least not 2 full production team like they used to do at BioWare and a lot of other studios. They're putting their full weight behind one game at a time. That was Veilguard. It's now going to be Mass Effect, and we're going to see what happens with that. So keep an eye out for probably a bunch of hiring from BioWare sooner and later. Keep an eye out for blogs and communications. It's worth remembering that here, over the next few years, it's likely we're going to start getting blogs and development updates, and it's going to be about Mass Effect. So if you're someone like me who was, enjoying the Dragon Age process as someone who wasn't really a fan of that IP, but is still a fan of BioWare and wants to know what's going on with them, it's finally coming around the bend if you've wanted Mass Effect news, because if they start working on it, there'll be stuff for them to talk about. And I think that's coming up extremely soon. So let me know what you think. Let me know how you feel about Sylvia leaving and how you think this may impact things moving forward. Let me know what you think about, the video in general. If you really like the video, consider subscribing to the channel to get more of them. Hit that like button so that more people see it. If you really, really, really like the content and you want to support, consider becoming a YouTube member. You get videos early, as well as a few other nice little perks. If you want to check out my other content and see other ways you can support what I'm doing, check out the links in the description of the video. And that's all I have for this one. So until next time.